Alright, hello citizens of the Nigerverse. It is Niger once again, and this is going to be another predictions video. It is time once again for the Revolution. It's time for AEW Revolution, which is taking place later on tonight. And a lot of people have asked, the question has been asked, is this perhaps on paper the greatest AEW match card of all time? And my honest answer is, it might be. It's a pretty strong contender for, or one of, if not the absolute best AEW match cards on paper. Whether or not the pay-per-view will actually live up to it, that remains to be seen, and as I'm going to change that to dark mode, but whether or not the actual pay-per-view, I'm sure, or it more than likely will, with how this card is laid out, this one's going to be hard to mess up, and hopefully it does lead to a great match card, but AEW, I guess, officially kicks off the year, or if you don't count Wrestle Dynasty, with a really solid match card here. So we got our matches, and of course I'm going to go through the card here. Now this is how it's laid out on the actual card, on the actual wiki article. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be the order that it will become showtime. The other thing is that we're going to go through, we're going to discuss what I think is going to happen in each match, and give my predictions, and at the end we're going to do the strongest and weakest, or what I think is going to be the strongest and weakest matches of the night. But also, something worth mentioning is that the AEW pay-per-views are now on Amazon Prime Video. Now, I was tempted to do it on Prime Video. I decided to stick with Triller TV for the time being, but having it on Prime Video, that's interesting, and between this and the already existing deal with Max that they have, where the pay-per-views are broadcast on there as well, if I'm not mistaken, or I think just the week-to-week shows. But pretty interesting there. So I guess Prime Video wants to get into the live streaming game as well, a la Netflix or something like that. Or they might, I'm not entirely sure. But nevertheless, pretty interesting there. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, we have our 4 pre-show matches. I'm probably not going to watch these, but they are at least worth acknowledging, and we are going to still give our predictions. So first of all, we have an 8-man tag team match as Daniel Garcia teams up with the Undisputed Kingdom, that being Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly, and they battle Shane Taylor Promotions, that being Shane Taylor, Carly Bravo, Lee Moriarty, Tiger Style Lee Moriarty, that is, and Captain Sean Dean. Now, admittedly, you don't watch a lot of Ring of Honor. This one has quite a bit of Ring of Honor on there, which hey, I'm not totally against it, but that's because this guy knows the guy to do something with the brand. But so having this match here, and I know Dan Garcia recently faced Adam Cole for the TNT Championship. I believe the TNT Championship was on the line, but nevertheless, as for this one, I think we're gonna go with Daniel Garcia and the Undisputed Kingdom getting the win there, and going from there. But it's interesting that the TNT Championship isn't being defended on the main card, but I guess you can't defend all of them, especially because we do have quite a few championship matches on the main card. But interesting that the TNT Championship is not among them. But next up, in more tag team action, and we have Lee Johnson and Blake Christian teaming up to take on Commander and Hologram. Now, admittedly, a lot of these I'm not sure how they came together, but at least in terms of the matches, some of the main card I'm a bit more familiar with, but just shows like I watch week to week. But as for this one, I think I'm gonna go with Lee Johnson and Blake Christian. I think probably predict that they get the win there. And next up for the Ring of Honor World Championship, Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, accompanied by both the Redwood and the Bad Apple, Big Bill and Ryan Keith respectively. He takes on Gravity. Why is Chris Jericho still the Ring of Honor World Champion? And there is a lot of theories put out there as to why Chris Jericho won the title in the first place. Some said they wanted to sweeten the deal for a TV deal that still has not materialized. Why is Chris Jericho still Ring of Honor World Champion? And I have no idea, but I think he's probably going to get the win against Gravity here. Although, this one I want to be wrong about. There are some predictions where I will admit if I'm wrong. In this case, I want to be wrong. Please, Gravity, please win the world title from Chris Jericho. Please spare us, but I don't think he's going to. But he should. He should. Then, and finally, to round off the pre-show, Big Boom AJ and the conglomeration, that being Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe. Accompanied by Big Justice. Not entirely sure who that is. Oh, okay. Hey, one of the other Costco guys. Okay. He's held a little out of touch, but they're going to be battling Johnny TV and the MXM collection, that being Mansoor and Mason Madden. And so, first of all, the stuff I have seen of MXM collection and have been pretty interesting, pretty entertaining, ain't not gonna lie, and glad they're getting the break with AEW, at least to an extent. As for this one, I think AJ and the conglomeration are probably gonna pick up the win here, but it should still be a bit of fun. But now, moving into the main card itself, for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, it's the Hurt Syndicate hit, that being Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, will be defending again, and they are accompanied by MVP, of course. They will be defending against the Outrunners, that being Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum. Now, if the reports be believed, the Outrunners were going to win the AEW World Tag Team Championships from the Young Bucks. Apparently, there was a kind of rumor, report, what have you, floating around that the Outrunners were supposed to win the Tag Team Championships from the Young Bucks in a squash match and take the Tag Team Championships. Now, if that did happen, it would have been, admittedly, if it happened, it would have kind of been damaging to the titles and kind of would have been damaging to the Young Bucks, but it also would have been hilarious. The Outrunners are still pretty, over like Rover, and so they're battling the Hurt Syndicate here. That being said, I don't think the Outrunners are going to win here, especially with them building up the Hurt Syndicate. Apparently they want to build up the Hurt Syndicate to be almost at the level of in a way, the Elite, or say, the Death Riders, which, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess, is up to you. Nevertheless, as I think I'm gonna go with the Hurt Syndicate here, retaining here. Now, if the Outrunners did win, it would be an upset, and it would get a pop, but I don't think they're going to. Next up, for the Continental Championship, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, will be defending against Brody King. Brody King and Buddy Matthews he split off from the House of Black. House of Black is no more, or they are now called the Hounds of Hell, if I'm not mistaken. And seeing them continue their singles exploits, not exploits, but their single endeavors is pretty cool to see as well. And this one on paper is definitely interesting. Having Okada versus Brody King, almost a David versus Goliath match in a way, although kind of not really, because Okada is definitely a big man in his own right. He's very, very tall. In fact, I do want to see how tall is Okada. He's definitely, I forget how tall he is. Is 6'3". Oh. He seems a little taller than 6'3", but he definitely. If you told me Okada was like 6'4", 6'5", you definitely could have had me fooled. But yeah. So Okada, maybe it's the boots, and they do say TV adds a few inches. But as for this one, I don't think Brody King's gonna win. in here. But if he did, I don't think too many people would be mad at it. But I do think Okada's gonna pick up the win here, and where he'll go as Continental Champion, and we'll find out. Are we getting our Omega match later on Omega Okada match again? The one that apparently we were supposed to get at All In last year. We'll find out. But yeah, I think Okada's retaining here. Then next up for the AEW TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné, the CEO, battles Momo Watanabe. Now, if you remember from Wrestle Dynasty, Momo Watanabe won the Fatal 4-Way, and so she was able to cash in on a championship match from any promotion of her choosing, and she decided to go after the TBS Championship. So we have this match here. So I don't think Momo is winning here, but this will be interesting to see. I think I am gonna go for Mercedes Moné to retain here, but looks like the latter half of Moné's TBS Championship reign has kind of been better than the earlier half, so that's good to see at least. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Mercedes Moné Mercedes Moné retaining here. Here, I need more water. There we go. But yeah, I'm going to go with Mercedes Moné. But next up in steel cage action, and Will Ospreay, the aerial assassin, battles the protostar, his former friend Kyle Fletcher. Yes, please. So of course, Kyle Fletcher turned on Will Ospreay back at Wrestle Dream, and they've been gunning for each other ever since. And they battled at Full Gear, or they battled at World's End, where Ospreay got very much bloodied up in the Continental Classic tournament, and so this seems to be the feud under the steel cage match. These two have put on magic against each other, twice before, or seemingly, hopefully, continuing in there here. This one we haven't gotten to the rest of the matches. I'm predicting this one might steal the show. We have some great matches on the card, which is why I say a lot of people say this might be one of the best AEW cards in history, and matches like this are a prime example. I think I'm gonna go with the thing is, if Fletcher wins here, I think it'd be a great boost for him. And I do think this should be the end of the feud, right? I think after this, both men should move on from each other. Obviously, Kyle Fletcher moving on with the Don Callis family, and Ospreay continuing to do what he does. So I do think this should be the feud ender. Kyle Fletcher winning here would be a huge boost for him in his career, but I ultimately think it's going to go to Ospreay. I think Ospreay is going to win here. It'd be nice if Kyle Fletcher won. Obviously, nothing against Ospreay, but I think I'm gonna go with Ospreay here, especially because Kyle Fletcher does have a win over Ospreay. He beat him back at Full Gear, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I think having Kyle Fletcher ultimately win this match and win the feud, I think would be beneficial. But I think it's gonna go to Ospreay. But next up for number one contendership for the AEW World Championship, Swerve Strickland battles Ricochet. So Ricochet has kind of gone off the deep end. So. And apparently, it seems like him being covered in toilet paper was what's really sent him over the edge. Going full on heel. He'll say it ain't so. Busting Swerve open with the golden scissor. Whereas Ricochet has definitely kind of lost it. And it's led to back and forth between these two, and now it comes here. This one's going to be a fun one as well. I can tell. This is going to be a very fun match. I think having Ricochet get the win here, I think would be cool. To really build him up, especially because Swerve was champion last year. So I think I'm gonna go with Ricochet. I think that might be the unpopular choice, but I think I'm gonna go with Ricochet getting the win here. But next up in Falls Count Anywhere for the AEW Women's World Championship. Let me see if I get to the exact tagline for this match because I don't want to get it wrong. I think they'll mention it here. Her persona, no. Yeah. Nope, it is not there. Here, I want to get the exact tagline for this match. But it's just showing the. It's just showing the. It's just showing the actual thing. So we're doing this long, which is admittedly a little bit embarrassing. Versus is Mariah May Revolution and Hollywood ending. There we go. Wanted to make sure I got it correct. Yeah, yes, and but it's seemingly they're considering a false count anywhere, but it's also considered the Hollywood ending as Timeless Tony Storm defends against Mariah May. Yes, you are reading that right. At Grand Slam Australia, Timeless Tony Storm, prior her time, she was acting like she had lost her memory, that she was back to regular Tony Storm, but she revealed the hardest character you can play is yourself, and sure enough, she played herself. She played Mariah May. She played all of us. She's still Timeless Tony Storm, and she won the women's championship from Mariah May back at Grand Slam Australia. And so now it's this match here, the Hollywood ending. This is gonna be the end of the feud here. As for this one's gonna be fun as well. Falls Count Anywhere action, and in my opinion, hard to mess up a Falls Count Anywhere match, but it's been done before. They've managed to mess up Falls Count Anywhere, but I think this one is gonna be like the way they're hyping this up like this is sure to be a very fun match here. But I think ultimately I'm gonna go with Toni Storm here, especially because she won the women's world championship not too long ago. And so having her lose it so soon would be really strange. But they've done kind of the ping pong back and forth before, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I think I'm gonna go with Toni Storm winning here to win the Hollywood ending and to finish up the feud. But hopefully Mariah May still has quite a bit of momentum, even in the loss to Toni Storm. But what a story it's been so far between these two, and having it conclude here in a big, fantastic match, I think would be the absolute best thing. But then next up for the AEW International Championship, the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita defends against Kenny Omega. So Kenny Omega officially returned at Wrestle Dynasty, but now is back in AEW. He had the tag match with Will Ospreay back at Grand Slam as well against Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, if I'm not mistaken, and so let's kind of led to this match here. So Takeshita and Omega seek to settle their differences. I think this should be the end of their feud as well. I know that might be unpopular, or because their feud goes back as well, but I think having Omega move on, maybe to Kyle Fletcher, maybe elsewhere, I think would be great here. But as for who I think is winning this match, I don't think it's going to be Omega. I think you win some, you lose some, and I think having Omega lose here wouldn't be the worst thing, especially if it's a really solid match against Takeshita. There's a part of me that thinks Omega might win, but I think I'm ultimately going to go with Takeshita. But this is going to be a fun match as well. And the fun keeps on coming. The latter part, the earlier part was cool as well, but the latter part is where a lot of people, the excitement builds for a lot of people when it comes to this card. Because next up, we have MJF versus Hangman Adam Page. AEW did the seemingly impossible. They made a heel versus heel feud work. Now they kind of did something similar beforehand, and in a way, if you want to consider Swerve versus Hangman to be heel versus heel, at least the latter part. But so MJF and Hangman have been going back and forth with duking it out. I forget I forget when and how exactly it began, and that part's a little fuzzy. But they've been battling it out verbally and physically in some regards. So it's leading to this match here. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I think I think this one is probably gonna go to. And this is also a situation where both these guys could definitely use the win. Like I could see MJF winning this match, get some of his momentum back, but I could also see Hangman win this match and get some of his momentum back. But I think I'm ultimately gonna go with Hangman. I think Hangman winning here, especially because MJF won back at World's End, and so I think Hangman's probably going to win here. But then, and last certainly not least, in what's likely going to be the main event for the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley, he of the Death Riders, will be defending against Cope. Oh, gee, I like probably because this is the first, I guess, AEW pay per view of the year here. I think it's my first time addressing it. Why do you change his name to Cope? Well, at that point, you might as well have just gone back to Adam Impact. But yes, Adam Copeland is now just called Cope. I'm not calling him Cope though. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like I call it Cope for the sake of the thing, but I'm not doing. I'm still calling him Adam Copeland. And first of all, because that's his name, but also because Cope is just dumb. It's a dumb name. I know it was his choice, and I know probably some of the other names probably trademarked. Obviously, you can't use Edge because that's WWE trademark, stuff like that. But I'm not calling him Cope. So Jon Moxley's battling Adam Copeland, and as for this one, I think Jon Moxley's winning here. It'll be interesting to see where the World Championship picture continues to evolve from here. Admittedly, it has been kind of a standstill since Adam Copeland and FTR, that being Raid FTR, kind of got involved. But that's I think I'm gonna go with Jon Moxley winning here. Now this might be out of the blue and this might be out of left field, but what if Eddie Kingston returns to confront Jon Moxley? Because Darby, he's climbing Mount Everest. He's gonna be out for a while, which has drawn some criticism because Darby Allin is supposed to be kind of in the World Championship picture. My thing is if you know Darby Allin's got this thing planned, which he's had this plan for a while. He wasn't able to do it last year because he broke his foot, but he's planning on doing the climb and everything. Why not transition away from him to someone else? And I think this would be the great way to transition to someone else. You do Darby when he gets back from his trip, but Eddie Kingston showing up, confronting Jon Moxley because their feud kind of ended at World's End back in 2023. But having Eddie Kingston in there, I think, could make things interesting again, and at least for the world title picture. Some people speculate whether or not Jay White will now challenge for it and where things will go. Eddie Kingston kind of spitballing. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but I think that'd be kind of cool. Jay White, I'm not mad at Jay White getting involved there, but I think I'm gonna go with Jon Moxley picking up the win here. Now, that is going to do it for the card, at least for the predictions. As for what I think the strongest and weakest matches of the night are going to be, admittedly, that's kind of tricky. Because there's a lot of matches that I think could potentially be match of the night. The strongest, I think, I'm probably going to go with Ospreay versus Fletcher. I said it before, but it bears repeating. I think that's going to be a fun match. That's going to be a really great match. As for the weakest, probably the TBS Championship match. Compared to everything else, probably the TBS Championship match. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for these predictions. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comments below your predictions for AEW Revolution, and who do you think is going to win what match, and what do you think is going to go down in the World Championship match. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.